Welcome to Markham VIP. I'm your host, kid in a uniform that's a little too big. Today, I want to talk about movies. I saw a Brand New Day last night. I saw Odyssey last week. I've seen a lot of the 2026 major releases, so why don't we throw it on a tier ranking, see what's going on. Little quickie. But yeah, so let's get right into it. Side note, before we get started, if there's any of these movies you were planning to see, there will be spoilers for each one. I will give a timestamp for each one to skip by it if you don't want to hear the spoilers, and you can just skip to the grade. So, spoilers for every movie. I'm not going to be discounted on spoilers. That's why Brand New Day is last. You can skip the spoilers of it. Same with Odyssey. Okay, so I've watched 15 movies in theater. I've missed a couple of the big ones, Star Wars I missed, waiting for streaming, I missed Hokum, which I was interested in, but for the most part, I feel like it captured a lot of the ones we've seen before. Now, side note, my mic pop filter is very distracting. Do not worry about it. It was a freebie from Searfery, and you know what? Who am I to decline? It kind of suits the show, kind of gives a good funky vibe. Without further ado, let's get a look at our movies. Project Hail Mary, Minion the Monster, Disclosure Day, Backrooms, The Invite, Sheep Detectives, Michael, The Drama, Supergirl, Hoppers, Obsession, Scary Movie, The Odyssey, Exit 8, and Spiderman Brand New Day. Now, it's a little unfair to some of the other movies that I've seen twice, but I'll do my best to remember what went on, even if I saw them 6 months ago, and my overall thoughts leaving the theater. I actually pulled up my Letterboxd for reference. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, it's Lozinski Joseph, so follow me there if you like me. If you don't like me, then that's kind of sad. But let's start with Project Hail Mary. Gosling's passion project. Well, I don't want to just get it on him, but it is largely centered on Gosling. If you saw it, he is the star of the show. There's a lot of other characters, a lot of other stuff going on. There's Rocky and all that jazz, but he takes the show away. I'm a sucker for actor bait. It's visually a masterpiece, and I like a movie. Here's the thing. I feel like cinemas in the modern day had this renaissance of people doing getting mad about the formulaic thing with Marvel movies and Star Wars movies and stuff like that, where it's oh, here's a clear formula on how an action. So on the cinema side, you had a resurgence of movies taking a subversion of expectations where the protagonist will lose, or the kind of missed a movie with a good ending where the protagonist wins and doesn't lose too much. Of course, there's the emotional aspect to him losing, but it seems like it's good for Grace to win. And it's a really good feel-good movie, and I feel like people are too snobby about feel-good movies. That's my opinion. I think because it's a blockbuster, because it's a feel-good movie, because it's a space movie, people underrate this film, and I really, really loved it. I think it's in contender for movie of the year. I gave it a 9 out of 10, which means Project Hail Mary for me is going to go in the A tier. Congratulations, Gosling. You have respect from the playing the horn. Wow, the Joseph Lizinski. So Gosling gets the A tier. Our next contestant is Minions and Monsters, the newest Minion movie. Now, I was really excited for this because I loved the last Minion movie. The last Minion movie was really good, had a really good time. Minions and Monsters was interesting because it was this love letter to cinema type of thing where the people who made Minions, they all of a sudden wanted to show a lot of love to film and how film was good and the animation is good. It's funny. It's still a family movie, though. There are movies on here that are made for kids that I'm really going to be high on. I didn't enjoy Minions and Monsters as much as I thought I would, and I like the franchise. And even Minions and Monsters itself, I saw people give a lot of critical acclaim. I thought, if I have to be a snob about it, the plot wasn't anything exceptional. I didn't think it was all that funny, which is important. I wasn't laughing in my seat. And I think it's a good movie, but I don't think it really wows me. Now, remember, we have a lot of movies here, and I want to have more variance. It's really easy to just put any movie in the B tier and above because they're all pretty good. I don't really go see bad movies. We'll get to some of them. But Minions and Monsters, I think, can't get above the C tier because it's not a tier away from Project Hail Mary. There's another tier of film in there. But I liked it. I liked it. I liked Minions and Monsters. I think it gets a C tier as a good family movie for release. The next movie is Disclosure Day. Now, Disclosure Day is very, very interesting because Disclosure Day was Spielberg's newest sci-fi movie that everyone was talking about as this like Oscar winner on the way. You get Emily Blunt in, you get I forget his name, but the guy from Challengers. You get Spielberg, and it's a sci-fi movie about aliens. Where could you go wrong? It was good. There was a lot of tension. I really liked some of the shots Spielberg worked with. I thought Emily Blunt was very good in this movie. I thought it was a decent like film in terms of like suspense and tension and the way they hooked you from the beginning. I didn't think it took a little long. I didn't think it dragged very much. And the aliens were cool. But here's the thing is that I'm not a huge fan of the concept, and I'm not a huge fan of the way Spielberg did the aliens. And again, it's hard for me to remember exactly my gripes. I only saw it one time, and I wasn't that passionate about it, but I wasn't leaving the theater like that was an exceptional movie. That was one of the best movies of the year. I felt like it did its job. It did a good job. It was a good Spielberg movie, but was it an Oscar winner? I wasn't that compelled by anything in the movie. The visuals were fine. I wasn't that compelled by them. The aliens were a good design, but very classic. I thought it was funny they went for a classic design because it's like, that's what we thought it was, and we thought we were crazy, but it's like, yeah, maybe that did come from something. I think it's a good movie to get you thinking. I think that's a really good way to put it. It's a good movie to get you thinking. It's a cool concept. It's well executed, but does it blow me out of my seats? Is it something I'm going to go back to watch again? Is it something that's compelling? No, I don't think it's something that's compelling. I really don't. I think this is going to be weird because I have some movies that I'm very high on, and I don't know where I'm going to rank them when I love Project Hail Mary so much. Maybe Project Hail Mary deserved an S tier, and I'll come back to that. But Disclosure Day is going to fall in my B tier. I think it's perfect for B tier. Some people would probably be like, you don't understand the film. You don't like Disclosure Day? You don't understand it. You're a casual audience member, but I am. I'm not some cinephile. I was talking to Manesh this morning about blocking, and I didn't really know what the fuck I was talking about. But it's fine because I'm trying, and we love to try, right? Watch some movies, build your own opinions. Don't worry about your letterbox chart. I already have 3 9s this year, could have 4. So don't worry about your chart. That's my main takeaway. Do not worry about your curve. Kind of trying to remember. This one's hard for me to remember. I think that speaks volumes to what I think of it. It's going to slot perfectly in the B tier. And that's kind of cool. We have A, B, C so far. And I think Project Hail Mary might move up, but we'll see. Okay, so our next movie is my most controversial. It is Backrooms. Backrooms is so interesting, man. I wish there was more nuance to the tiers because I kind of want to make a clickbaity one here. I didn't like it that much. I did not like Backrooms that much. My problem with Backrooms is that, listen, young director, and I loved what he did with The Thing. I talked to John Luca about this, actually. Gave me more love to show Backrooms. I think Backrooms I almost underrated leaving the theater when parts of the story really do help its case. But I'm very low on the Backrooms, spoiler alert. My problem was, listen, you have this gorgeous idea of the Backrooms and this really interesting concept and this fledged out, this, what's the word, man? Deep, it's the fucking videos, all right? They have all those videos and you have all this lore and you have this movie coming up. And here's the thing. And I had this debate with John Luca. John Luca was telling me that if you watch the video series, it works really well. Like it's nice. It goes well. It makes sense. It's cool. But when you watch the movie from an outside perspective as someone who has not watched the video series, I'm like, what the fuck do I care about? And you're like, what does that mean? Well, my biggest gripe with this movie is that you have this beautiful concept of the Backrooms, and like copying shit, like I'm not going to fully explain it. I get it. For the record, I do get it. But my problems were actually with the characters. And not that the characters are bad, is that I don't care about them. They don't flesh them out. They start the movie with this therapy scene, and that's supposed to give you some insight into who Clark is and who this therapist is a little bit. They end up being the main characters, but Clark cannot be fully exposed in one scene or two scenes, because I find after the furniture store, they go into the back rooms and things get crazy way too quick. And it turns out to be more of a horror movie than a really good, exceptional movie like we're going to get to of a horror movie. It hurts the movie's quality because what I was expecting to be a cool exploration of a character of Clark and his backstory, we're just kind of implied to know. You know, the famous table scene with Clark and the therapist, and it doesn't hit at all. It's kind of ridiculous because it's like, oh, Clark's crazy now. We just saw him being normal and now he's crazy, and I don't really care if he's crazy because I don't care about Clark. I mean, they spend so much time doing chases and exploration that we don't get to spend time to sit with the characters and see how they're interpreting the backrooms, how they're feeling in the backrooms. And it's not to say that we can't imply it. It just means when you have to imply it, you don't care as much about a person going deranged. I thought the therapist section was much more interesting in a way, and her perspective and that craze and like the thing with her mother. I thought that was cool, but I think it ends on a low note where they go and see these scientists and the government, and she realizes she can't escape. And the problem with that is that there's no reason for this. If you watch the web series, you'll understand the reason, but I didn't watch the web series, right? You have this connection to this government body running and observing the backrooms, letting this horror happen. But when that is revealed in the movie, there's no explanation. There's no, like, it's just very nothing. It's like they threw it in because it's in the web series, and it doesn't feel like it works in the plot. I think the plot falls short. I'm really excited about Kane Parsons as a filmmaker. I think he's very talented. I think this shows a lot of promise because visually it was stunning. The sets were stunning. The acting was great. I think it shows a lot of promise, but I don't know if it's something that I will return to with intrigue. And that's why I'm tempted to put it. Here's the problem with my tier list right now is I kind of want to add an extra tier between B, C, and D, like those ones in between, but I have to choose one. I gave this a 5. I gave Minions a 6. So it's hard for me to say whether it should go a tier below Minions in D or it's going to go in C. I think there was a good performance here. I think there's good set pieces. I think overall I would be being disingenuous and clickbaity to put it any lower than C. But do I think it's a great movie? Do I think it's one of the best movies of the year? No, I do not. That's my whole spiel on the Backrooms. I'm going to put it in the C tier. I was not that compelled. Up next, we have The Invite, which I just saw. And spoiler alert, I loved it. I loved The Invite. It was fantastic. It was one of the best movies of the year. Put its hat on dialogue and characterization and almost like an anti-backroom sort of way where you rely on 4 characters in one room and the movie is still gorgeous. Cinematography sometimes I think can be taken as, look at this beautiful sunset in this one movie, right? Look at these beautiful colors. Look at this nice shot. But I think the utmost best cinematographers make their impact present on a movie like this. The way you frame your characters and the way you use the house as a prop to symbolize different interactions, connections, and disconnects was so exceptional in this movie. So incredible visuals and cinematography, absolutely gorgeous looking movie for something that is literally just an apartment. Second of all, Seth Rogen was amazingly nuanced character. Olivia Wilde, we'll get to her, but Edward Norton, great character. Penelope Cruz, amazing. And then Olivia Wilde was amazing as well. I think all 4 actors put on a show, very natural, very real depiction of relationships. And I think the way they depicted marriage, 2 different couples where you have one that's kind of vain, kind of like indulging in life itself, and then you have Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde, who are a very regular couple who cares about their child, very loving, and you see the difference in their relationships where Edward Norton's character gets to reveal later. Please don't keep watching if you don't want to get spoilers. I really recommend you watch the movie without me explaining it. But you see how this facade of a perfect relationship with no problems is really something just seeming to be masked vanity and shallow connection, versus you see the exact opposite with Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde in this final scene, especially where the consensus among everyone is they should get a divorce, right? And they kind of build up the movie to have this climactic point where Penelope Cruz says, you guys should get a divorce. I'm a therapist. I know better. And you're sitting there and they kind of accept it. They're like, yeah, we should get a divorce. But the movie wraps up perfectly by showing you that they have too deep of a love. They are not this shallow. They They are someone who is deeply in love, even through their deepest flaws. They cannot get away from each other. They love each other so much, and this anger is insecurity and discontentment affecting their relationship. Their relationship is not the problem. They still love each other. I think it was a beautiful film. I think you get to that conclusion by yourself as the viewer, and it doesn't even have to be your conclusion, because you can also interpret that piano scene as here's a couple who's about to end and they're reminiscing on the last time, on their old times, but they know it's over. And it's this beautiful scene. I think that left up to interpretation point where you can have a sad ending, you can have a happy ending is very exceptional. I almost wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, but I did not see it twice. Is it going to be in contention for movie of the year for me? Absolutely. Was it better than Project Hail Mary? I don't know. I haven't seen both twice, man. I gotta watch them again. I really want to give it an A tier, but it feels like I'm lying. You know, it was so funny as well. Such a funny movie. The whole audience was cackling. There was like 20 of us in there. It was not a big theater. Like, it was not very filled up, but everyone there was dying of laughter. It was a great time. It landed on its own right, on its own accord, and it's exceptional. I want to watch it again. I think the sex party thing was a really good angle to emphasize, like, whoa, here's this couple that's totally over the edge, trying something completely new. And even when Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde try to be different, they cannot do it. The fact that nobody ended up doing anything about it, they kind of emphasized how this, like, sex party thing would result in misery. They're kind of hopeless without it, even without showing that, like, here's somebody being infidel. I think that was a really nice angle where I kind of expected them to do it and then be like, that was fucked, like, we don't like that, and explore this discomfort. But instead, nobody got anywhere. You have this funny moment, but it also emphasized that, like, almost like fate cannot drag them apart. If you have not seen The Invite, I highly recommend it. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in the S tier. It actually could be one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. And I think it's one of those ones that I'm going to get to and explain that once I sit with more, I'm going to be even more of a fan of it. I really do love it. It's amazing. You should see it. I might change my mind, but, like, as I go through this, I'm going to stop. I've spent way too much time on this movie. The Invite is S tier. Next one is The Sheep Detectives, a fantastic family movie like I was talking about before. It's great. It's a great time. It's nice. It's a great time. I had a really good time with this movie, and I keep on saying that because I think I almost, like, it was hard. Here's the thing with family movies. It's hard to get them over the peak because it only can be so good. It's the same with any superhero movie, I find, where it's like, it can only be so compelling. It can only be so exceptional, but I think it checks all the boxes of what it was trying to do. I don't think it wanted to do much more than it did. I was really impressed. I had a great time. I was laughing. It was fun. Was it exceptional? No. But did I enjoy it as much as Disclosure Day? Shit, probably. I think it's a step above the Minions. This is the problem with the tier list, is because obviously probably I would put Disclosure Day higher than Sheep Detectives. But do I think it's some exceptional masterpiece? No. And that's kind of pretentious because nobody thinks it's supposed to be. But Hugh Jackman was charming in the little moments he made. And the sheep were so good. The sheep were so good. I love them all. Everyone was great. I figured out who the guy was in like 20 minutes, but it was still fun to figure out I was right. But I was more of a lucky guess than me watching the movie. I'm not even going to reveal who it is. I'm not going to spend too much time on The Sheep Detectives. You should watch it. Watch it with your parents, you know, something like that. It's a great time. So Sheep Detectives will go in the B tier. Next up, we have Michael. What a great movie, right, guys? We have a tier called Brutal. We don't have the F tier. And that's where Michael is going immediately. It fucking sucked. You guys are slop baiting. Like, you fell for the slop. It sucks. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And people will be like,
you're overreacting. It looked good. It sounded good.
No. Here's where you guys got tricked. Michael Jackson is the GOAT. His music is amazing. We all love Michael Jackson's music. So you leave the movie and you're kind of happy because you just listened to Michael Jackson's music for like an hour. And you're like, fuck yeah. Like, Michael Jackson music, awesome. It's impossible not to bump your head. But I am a snob. The movie itself sucked. It only built off getting to the next performance in a weird way, where you have this moment at the beginning and I'm like, oh, this could be a good movie. You know, I like this exploration on Michael and his parents growing up. And then it feels like every single scene is a cutaway to get to the next song where it's like, oh, here's Michael in the studio and he's mad. And then boom, here's Michael performing bad. You know, like I don't remember exactly what songs he performed or anything, but that's how it felt. It felt like a compilation movie where let's do some performances of Michael and hope the audience loves it. Each performance was literally the whole song. I'm sorry, guys. It is a movie, not a concert. And that's what people are getting wrong, is that they like Michael because they like Michael Jackson's music. I'm so convinced everyone likes Michael, but there's so much to his story that is just neglected and ignored, and it drove me up the wall because I was really fucking excited for this. Genuinely, this is my biggest disappointment of the year. I was really excited for this movie because he has such an exceptional story, but the problem is with biopics, and I find it every single time, is that nobody wants to shit on the protagonist, and there were so many angles that they could have went on with Michael's character to make him more nuanced, to make him more of a troubled hero, but they kind of just made it like,
Michael's the goat, man. What a nice guy. What a sweet dude. He's great. You know, like, who doesn't like Michael? His dad...
evil. And it was like that cut and dry of like good guy, bad guy, which is super weird because Michael was definitely a troubled man. Michael definitely had his flaws. And was it a product of his dad? Probably. But I need water. Michael itself, the movie, was fucking terrible. I thought it was horrible. And I sat there in the theater, and also in the theater, there was these bum-ass kids in front of me that were really fucking annoying me, that me and Oscar deadass had to press. Like, I had to, like, twice. Like, I started kicking his seat. Like, full on, like, like kid... Like he was doing one of these. He was leaning all the way back like this, and I'm sitting behind him. No, sorry, Gwen was sitting behind him, and I was like, Gwen, like, kick him. And she's like, no, I'm not going to kick him, but, like, this is so fucking annoying. And she's, like, looking at me, like, upset. I'm like, okay, if you're not going to kick him, I'm going to kick him. And I like, wind up, and I fucking crank this kid who's been talking the whole movie and leaning his chair back, and he literally goes, like, forward. He looks back, and then another thing is Oscar leaned forward to tell them to shut the fuck up, and they wouldn't shut the fuck up. Annoying ass kids. I just started kicking them for the second half. Maybe it made me hate Michael more. I think it just fucking sucked. I think it was really disappointing. I think it fell for all the biopic problems. I think everything about Michael is something I would like to forget. I would like my money back. I don't like it. I would never see it again. Maybe to laugh at because it was so bad. And the acting performances, not good. Sorry, the shit was fucking weak. The sound was good, the costumes were good. That's it. I gave it a 1. Michael goes in the brutal tier. It's probably the worst release. There's only one other movie I saw in theaters that I think compares. So we'll get to that. I don't like this tier system. I'm not going to do that. I don't like this tier system because I think D is going to be empty. Maybe Michael should go in D. I think both should go in brutal. I maybe just shouldn't have made D and brutal because I don't think there needs to be 2 bad tiers. Okay, so I'm making a proactive change. I don't think there will be any movies that fall into our D tier looking ahead. Spoiler alert. And I would rather make it a D for disappointing tier list, where anything that I was a little disappointed in, and not in the sense of it's still a good movie, but like it falls flat on my expectations, kind of just want to put in the D for disappointing. So I'm going to make an alteration right now to my tiers. Okay, so tier list update. We are going to make D tier disappointing because I don't think there should be 2 bad movie tiers, and I have some movies I can put in the disappointing. I'm going to move Backrooms to the D for disappointing tier. It is not that bad. I gave it a 5 out of 10, guys. Disappointing, don't flame me, goes Backrooms. The next movie is the drama. The drama is interesting because I initially saw it and I wasn't that high in it for the reason of nobody would react this way to this news. I really don't believe it. This is stupid. What the fuck? thing they chose for her to be her worst thing was a little too like overreaction, and it kind of took me out of the movie as a whole. Even though I love the performances from Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, I love the visuals, I love the concept, I just felt the overarching idea of the movie dinged it a little bit on my own scale because it took me out of it a little bit. But I have not watched it again, but I have been persuaded by Manesh and online to be a little bit more forgiving on this movie, because even though that is the case, I think that is more intentional than anything where drama is kind of satirical in its own sense, where of course it's not that big of a deal. And that's kind of helps you get a gauge on the characters and the reactions, where is her name Rachel, the white woman that's friends with Zendaya? Regardless, her reaction is very absurd when she did something way worse, but, in my opinion at least, but it adds to the story and adds to their relationship and character for how she really sees Zendaya and if she's really actually a true friend. Rob is fantastic. His character is so nuanced and flawed, and I think one thing people pointed out, which was beautiful, was that when he's writing his wedding speech, he has the moment where he emphasizes her empathy as this main thing. And then he finds out about this and he's like, oh my God, she's not the person I thought she was. She's a killer. She's not empathetic. But by the end of the movie, we see Zendaya's empathy is actually her best quality still. And you see how she treats people who do worse, heinous acts than her. You see how she responds to the situation, and her empathy is emphasized. Her characterization is exceptional. So I think where it would normally go in the C tier, I'm going to give it a B tier. I really enjoyed this and I want to watch it again really bad. And I'm kind of being proactive right now because I think when I do watch it again, it has a chance to move up to B or A. I think I just, like, this sounds stupid, but I think I didn't get it. Like, I think when I reflected on the movie more and talked to people about it more, I started to feel more sort of way about it. Next movie is Supergirl. Supergirl is really interesting. I was really hyped for Supergirl because we love Superman. Me, Oscar, Nat, like we love Superman. We were huge fans of Superman. I can put some pictures on the screen. I saw Superman like 3 times last year. It was really fun. It was a great time, and I was excited to see what Gunn does with Supergirl. Is the gun going to jam? Well, the gun kind of jammed, and this is going to be my second D for disappointing because I actually think it's better than the Backrooms. I still think it's a good movie, and it's probably better than Minions, or at least same tier. But it's going to get a D for disappointing because I'm disappointed. I was really disappointed. It felt like there was opportunities in this story, in this film, that were not seized. For example, the greatest example is the needle drop. Everyone's been talking about the needle drop at the end and how it was so bad, and I cannot emphasize enough how bad it is in the theater. There's so many other songs that would have worked, whether they're emotional, whether they're old, whether they're fun, and that was just a sorry-ass cover. No idea what they were thinking with that, and it does ruin the kind of climax. I think that final climacting scene was not that good. I liked the relationship with the little girl, but I didn't feel like she was that fleshed out as a character. This movie I gave like a 5 out of 10, I believe, or maybe I give it a 6 out of 10 out of grace. I gave it a 6 out of 10 out of grace, but I kind of want to give it a 5 out of 10 too. I might drop it on the fly here. I'm going to drop it to a 5 out of 10. I was not impressed. It's not that bad. But the disappointing factor is real. I loved Lobo. I thought that was a cool angle. I loved Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El, I should say. I just read the cast sheet. Sorry, guys. And I thought Eve Ridley was good too. I think the concept was cool, but in practice it could have been better. So I'll give it a D for disappointing. I really think it was a disappointing film. It's kind of the same thing as Backrooms. How bad is it? I don't know if it's like a 3 out of 10 movie. The D tier might be. Rico's going insane over there. But I don't think it's good. The next movie is Hoppers. Now, Hoppers, I cried. It was so good, and I think it's one of the best ones they've done in years from Pixar. It moved me to tears. It was a really good sentiment. The problem is I actually left the movie giving this a 9 out of 10 because I thought it was nearly perfect and one of the best Pixar movies I've ever seen. I am not someone who will hesitate to rate a new movie what it deserves, and I think it's one of those their best releases in years. I thought it was really really creative. I thought it was funny. I thought it was emotional. I loved our main characters. I loved the relationship with nature and the emphasis on nature and the evil that is going on in the world right now. And like that underlying sentiment was awesome. But here is the problem, is that Hoppers is still a kid's movie. And this is what I kind of grappled with, and I talked to Manesh about it, is that like it's one of the best animated movies I've ever seen, one of the best family movies I've ever seen. But how high is that bar? Where like I rewatched Ratatouille and I was not that compelled by it when I thought I would be. I thought it was going to be this masterpiece movie because I remember it being some masterpiece. And I realized it's just really good relative to a Pixar film. And not to say Pixar is an amazing studio or animation isn't a medium that can be mastered, but I think in family context it's hard to add emotional depth and characterization that a lot of movies can add in more nuanced ways, because you have to keep it digestible, you have to keep it fun, and I think Hoppers did a really good job of that. But as a movie, it can only be so good, kind of. So I'm gonna put Hoppers in the B tier. I think it goes right next to Sheep Detectives, but I gave this an 8 out of 10 because I think it's capped. I think there are Pixar movies that are 10 out of 10, but like they're a step above in substance, like Up or WALL-E. Like maybe those ones I would give more. I haven't seen them in ages. I haven't rated them, but I think I would give them more love probably than Hoppers. Because it still is a family movie. There still is that like kiddie element. It reminds me of Zootopia 2, where I really like Zootopia 2, but it can only be so good. It's better than Zootopia 2 though. Hopper's really good. Watch it. You like Pixar movies? Watch Hoppers. The next movie is Obsession. The absolute craze that is Obsession is over-deserved. You thought I was going to say overrated. It's over-deserved. This film is exceptional. I have no problem saying it is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen in my life. And I want to give it a good spiel, all right? I know this video is already really long. Who knows if you're still watching? But Obsession is one of those movies that deserves it all, man. Obsession is this horror movie with small scale, small budget. It does a couple things that I love in the modern landscape of horror. It doesn't rely on supernatural / demonic presence. And that sounds like a Christian take or something like that, where it's like, oh, I don't like to see demons. No, demons are lazy. Supernatural things are lazy. Of course, the Wishing Willow is supernatural, but the horror of the movie is Nikki herself. Right? And there's moments of her calling out from like hell when he calls her and stuff. But for the most part, it's not like a ghost in the house. A ghost in the house can do whatever you want and it becomes boring. But Nikki is a perfect, I'm going to say antagonist because that's the role she plays in the film, but obviously we all know what the underlying themes of her not being an antagonist. It's not her fault, of course, as the scary figure is perfect. It's a slow build up to this peak, and every scare is earned. That bothers me so much about horror movies, that every scare is not earned. They'll throw a jump scare in just to get a jump scare off because they need to keep the audience on their toes. And this one, the jump scare will be built up for like 10 minutes. Like the car scene, like you knew it was coming, you're on the edge of your seat, but you didn't know when. And when it comes, it's this beautiful way they did it, where it wasn't like she just pops up, but you see her running for like maybe half a second and you're like, whoa, stop. And then she blares through the window and you're burst out of your seat. I jumped out of my seat because it was so scary. And you get the split second to like wake you up and like notice it, and then it pays off by this big scare, and it makes you even more scared. You know, you get really attached to the characters. You get really attached to Bear and Nikki, and I forget their other names. I'm sorry. I know Sarah. I forget the other guy. But they're all so nuanced and so depth and so natural. They're really well written, and I love how there's that ambiguity at the beginning with Nikki's relationship with Bear, where he's kind of an incel, but she kind of likes him, you know, like he didn't have to snap the willow. He should have just asked. The tension at the beginning is really important to the story, where you feel this regret through Bear, where he feels that regret, but he's also still a horrible guy. He continues to utilize her. You know, he continues to use her even after knowing she's trapped. He doesn't release her after knowing he's trapped, and he turns into this character that is an antagonist in itself. this depth of writing, this depth of character, beautiful paid off horror and scare. I could watch it over and over and over and over again. It was gorgeous looking. It was well written. It was just everything you kind of hoped it to be, and more. I think it genuinely might be the best movie of the year, even after all these epics. I give it a 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 5 after 2 watches. The first watch I gave it a 9. And it's going straight into the S tier, obviously. I think it is a step maybe above the invite. And seeing a well-written horror movie in 2026 is so refreshing because I feel so much of the genre is slop. And I think we're having that resurgence where even Backrooms I was disappointed with. I was excited about the creativity behind it. And I kind of wish, almost in retrospect, that like Clark had the characterization that Bear did, you know, like not to say exactly the same way, but the way I got attached to Bear as like this antagonist in himself, and you started to hate Bear throughout the course of the movie after feeling so much sorry for him, was beautiful. It was an incredible ending where it leaves you thinking. The One Wish Willow is such a simple, digestible, conceptual piece that is so good and so intriguing, and you can do everyone's been saying you can do a whole like anthology series, and I think you really can. There's a lot of potential there. I really liked it. S tier for Obsession, no doubt in my mind. I'm getting darker as the video goes on. I really need better lighting. I'm sorry, but nobody really cares, honestly. Who's really watching? If you are watching, I love you. Thank you. Okay, next up is Scary Movie. Wasn't that fun, guys? Me and Gwen went to see this. She liked it more than me. And I was kind of being kind because it is like this stoner comedy like Scary Movie's always been, but it's lazier than it's ever been. None of the jokes land. It is the most millennial humor ever. All right? It's so horrible. Like, it's not funny. There's like maybe 2 scenes that made me laugh. Silly moments, but it did not feel like I was watching a movie. It felt like I was watching some Instagram reels where like Scary Movie could have made like 20 Instagram reels with their scenes and it would have been better than putting them all together. Some of the actors need to retire and they kind of made joke out of that. Marlon, let it go, brother. Let it go. I know you can't do Scary Movie without Marlon, but still, it was a brutal watch, and it did laugh at itself a bit. It wasn't meant to be good. I enjoyed it more than Michael. But is it a better movie than Michael? Probably not. Probably not. It's going to go right into brutal. I would not spend my money on it again. I thought Scary Movie would get more fun out of me. I thought it would be in the tier with like Minions or Hoppers, where it's like, this is a really ironic movie. It's really kind of fun how ironic it is. Give it the same 1 out of 10 that I gave Michael. It is not good. It is not good. And don't watch it. Don't waste your time. Okay, next is the one you've all been waiting for. And I saved it for the end on purpose, the Odyssey. Where do you put the Odyssey? The Odyssey is the new Christopher Nolan film. I just saw it in IMAX 70mm. Shout out to me. And I'm going to preface this by saying it was a very late night, and I really want to watch it one more time. I'm going to go watch it next week again before I give it a full judgment. It was good. It was really good. It was exceptional. You got attached to the characters very easily. Fantastic performances all around. I thought Tom Holland got some hate for his performance. He was really good. Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Matt Damon, Rob Pattinson was my favorite performance in the entire movie. He was awesome. He was awesomely hateable. I think he played his job super well. You should definitely go watch it. It's epic. It's great. But is it my favorite Nolan film? No. Is it perfect? No. I thought the final fight scene was a little underwhelming. I thought it would be a little more epic than it was. And I understand the point is he's killing all the suitors. There's no glory in those suitors. They're kind of cowards. They're losers. By the way, I'm not deliberating between putting it in B tier. I'm between A and S. That's what I'm saying. Is it a tier above Project Hail Mary? I think I left the films leaving it feeling the same way, where it's like, that was a great fucking movie. But do I think it's on the tier of Obsession and The Invite? It probably is on the same tier as The Invite. I think I like The Invite a little bit more. The Odyssey was really good, and there's no dull moment. I thought the moment with him stringing the bow was awesome payoff. I think the tension was great. There's a lot of tension. throughout the movie. Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10, no question. The potential to be a 10 out of 10 down the line. Connection of him being the guy in the sea and doing all these horrible things, in the specific exploration of Zeus Law as this plot device, and I think is very, very important. I think it was very, very well done. I think I will put the Odyssey in the A tier, but if you hear me a year from now being like, the Odyssey is the best movie of the decade, just give me some slack, because I just watched it, and I think it's a lot to digest, especially when you see it late at night, like I did, and you have work the next morning, like I did. I saw it at 10:30 downtown, and I had work at 8:45 the next morning. I was delirious by the end. Exit 8 is our second last one. It feels underwhelming because we have Brand New Day coming. Exit 8 was good. Good horror movie. Kept me on my toes. Enjoyed myself. Cool set design. I think it should have got the same amount of love as the Backrooms. I think I liked both the movies equal amount. I loved the characters. I loved the aspect of the child and the man. I don't remember their names because, language, and I thought it was good. I don't have a lot to say. I don't remember too much, but I just remember it being good and enjoying myself. It is perfect next to Minions. It really rounds out our tier list. I think it's great. I think it goes right where it belongs, in the C tier. I don't have much more to say about it. You like horror movies, you like cool concepts. If you played the game, it's even cooler. I didn't play the game, but I watched playthroughs, so I still enjoyed myself. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Spider-Man Brand New Day I saw last night, and it was everything I hoped it to be. It was gorgeous. It had all these themes. Now skip if you don't want to see spoilers. It just came out. I understand if you haven't watched it, obviously, but I thought it was exceptional. I thought it was the best Spider-Man movie in live action ever, probably for me. And the Jean Grey as a villain, but like anti-hero, and like finding out the motivation behind her was awesome. I thought she was an awesome actress. I thought Zendaya played her role perfectly. I thought Tom Holland was better than he's ever been. It visually was gorgeous. The swinging scenes, the Punisher's relationship, the loneliness of the hero was super cool to see, where you see how effective he is. Like Spider-Man is fucking killing it. Everybody fucking loves Spider-Man, but Spider-Man doesn't have anyone to love. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's the first movie really explored a lonely Spider-Man with no friends, and in the way where it even causes his hormones to rise, which is funny. Everyone thought it was a man-spider thing, but it's really just a stress. It's like an allegory for stress. It's a very simple allegory for stress, and how it alters your behavior and feelings, and he has to learn to control this, and he kind of levels up, which was cool, because like progressing a guy after 3 movies of going from like normal Spider-Man to like back to friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but showing a progression and growth, is very skilled, very cool. I think it slots right into A tier. Would I put it in B plus if there was a B plus tier? Yes. I think it's better than everything in B, but worse than everything in A. So I'm going to give it love, because I think it's one of the best Superman movies and Spider-Man movies in a long time. And I think it is the best superhero movie of the year so far. We haven't seen Doomsday. I am very confident it's going to be better than Doomsday. And yeah, I think Spider-Man will deserve all the love it's about to get. DDC, fantastic director. He did his thing. He understands Spider-Man to a T. It's very like comic-esque. It ripped it right out of the comics. The way he explored this, it's the most comic book movie I've ever watched, man. Like all these different heroes and villains, and they're designed just like the comics. Like Tombstone is a comical looking guy, to be honest. Like he's stupid looking. But that's what Tombstone would look like. Like that's it. That's how he would look. I was really impressed with all the costume design, the visuals, the colors, the story. It was very well rounded. I think it runs into the superhero wall a little bit, where was it like crazy compelling or like incredible dialogue or anything like that? No, but there was moments where like, like the moment with MJ on the ceiling, not the ceiling, on the roof, was like, did it leave me like I left across the Spider-Verse? No. Did it leave me like I left into the Spider-Verse? No. The only reason I'm saying those, because those are the 2 best superhero movies ever for me, and I think it's almost in that tier, guys. It's in the A tier. These are all the movies I've seen that have come up this year. Maybe I'll do another end of year list once I've rewatched some of these guys and once I see some new movies. You know, maybe we'll have to do one in December to see where we're at. It is the 31st of July, so we're halfway through the year. I hope you've watched these movies. I hope you made it this far. I'm not going to edit too much out of this. It's a very long video. Yeah. Final tier list now.